Hi, friends.
Hi, friends.
We're back. It's episode 59 of the Brunch and Judge.
Whoop, whoop.
Here's me doing a dance. It's a great dance.
It is a great dance.
All right. So we are your hosts. I'm April.
And I'm Claire.
And this week we are delving into cults, which, as you know, is our
Again.
favorite.
Again.
One of our favorites. I
For the third time.
I love that humanity is so amazing that we're never gonna run out of topics for cults. Because I have
There's so many.
5 that I want to cover, and then in the process of just kind of looking at stuff, I found 3 or 4 others that I didn't really know that well. Then oh, even more cults. So we can culty
I
it up
know.
forever, really. There is no end to cults.
So many. Oh, gosh.
But first, and always more
Yes.
importantly, Claire, what are you judging this
Yes.
week?
Oh, boy. Okay. So, this one, I'm going to do some really stupid customers at work.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, I hate them. Got a couple. Yeah. Coming in at number we're just gonna rank them. Okay, we're just
Sounds
gonna
good.
from this past week. Okay, we're just gonna rank them. My top 3 from this past week.
Okay.
From my part-time job, mind you. Okay, part-time job.
Mm-hmm.
um Number 3. So we have these little like things that we hand out, like you spend money, you get them, like the little cash things, kind of like
Oh,
Kohl's
sure,
cash,
sure. Got it, got it.
you know, and you have to wait before you can use them. And then
Yeah,
it's always like,
incentive to make them come back and spend more money.
yes,
No, I get
yes,
it.
yes, yes. 25 off 50, blah, blah, blah. But there's always like certain things you can't use them on.
Mm-hmm.
Like certain things in clearance, like if it's X amount off the clearance already or blah, blah, blah. Doorbusters, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Well, lo and behold, bras this weekend were on a doorbuster. So you couldn't use the special coupons on the bras.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a Karen in this weekend
Oh no.
who got a little snippy with me over. She's like, well, somebody told me that I could come back this weekend and use this on the bras. And it was like, well, ma'am, they probably didn't realize that the bras were going to be on sale this weekend because we don't know what the sales are going to be until like the night before
Right.
with the sale. We don't know what the sale's
No,
going
I
to
understand.
be.
I live that life. I understand.
Yeah. And she was like, well, so which bra can I buy? You can't use the coupon on any of these bras. All
Mm-hmm.
the bras are on a doorbuster this weekend. And she was like, oh, well, fine. I'll just take the shades. You know what? Never mind. Never mind. I'm just not going to take anything. I'm just going to put it all back. I was like, well, you know what, ma'am? I can put it back for you. No, that's fine. I'm right here. And so she just storms off. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
It's like,
you
I
be
get
mad.
it.
You be
I
mad. It's not my deal.
I get it. I get you're frustrated. I hear you. I agree. It sucks. I'm sorry we didn't know, but we didn't
Right.
know. So I'm sorry.
Right.
It's like, go yell at, headquarters, which is not me. I'm just a
Right.
cog in the machine.
I'm sorry that the one item that you wanted, everything else in that store, she could have used it on.
Right.
Just about. Just not the bras.
I, I mean, I know that feeling where you go and
Anything
you're like,
else she
God
could have used
damn
it
it,
on.
the one thing I
I
wanted
know.
and I can't have it. No, I've had that
I know.
feeling,
I
but
know.
yeah, I get it. But
It was just like,
not your fault.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if you had read the back of the stinking cash thing, the coupon, it says it back there. I
Mm-hmm.
swear it does. I'll highlight it for you next time. Because I
Uh-huh.
have, uh-huh. Because sometimes, like, not all of them do. Some of them will say that you can use it on certain, like, sometimes some of them will say can be used on clearance. Some of them say you can't use it on clearance.
Oh, no,
So,
crappy. Pick one or the
Uh-huh.
other, guys. One or the other.
So sometimes like some of the mailers and stuff that you get in the mail will say that you can use on clearance, some will say you can't. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to read the back. But I will tell you, on all of them, just about all of them, it will say you cannot combine it with a doorbuster. So if there's a little red sign over the top that says doorbuster, you can't use it with it.
Mm-hmm.
So just saying. Anywho,
Mm.
that was number 3. Um number 2. Oh, damn. Both of these next ones were pretty just like, I wanted to. All right. For dumbest customer. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. We'll save that one for number 1. Number 2. This one woman, I'm ringing her stuff up. Get through the whole fucking transaction. Like she's getting ready to sign her name on the fucking pin pad. And then
Mm-hmm.
she's like, oh, I had a $30 off coupon for off $125. What can you do to make that happen now?
Cancel everything and start all over, you hateful catty bitch.
I had to return it, not even
Mm-hmm.
cancel it. I couldn't even cancel it.
Oh,
I
wow.
had to return it. So I had to return it. Like, so ring everything up like I'm doing a return and then ring everything back up in the same transaction like she's purchasing it again. But then she has the audacity to tell me, she goes, the amount's going down. I'm like, yes, ma'am, because I'm having to ring it back up and then I'm going to have to scan your coupon and then we're going to give you the money back from what the coupon. Ugh. And she kept saying, I'm so sorry. And you know what? I didn't even say, that's okay. I didn't even say it. I just kept my mouth shut because I was so
Mm-hmm.
fucking aggravated. I was just like, I had to ring that stack of shit 3 times, unnecessarily 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
I was beyond aggravated. I was just like, So then and then we wound up having to give her a $31 refund because of her fucking coupon because she was too busy talking to somebody to pay attention. That's why she forgot. She was too busy
Mm-hmm.
yakking. I was so aggravated. I was just like, you just wasted like another 10 minutes of my life. Thank you that I can't get that back.
It's like, and yep, that's lost forever. Thanks. Ugh, gross.
Okay, and number one, stupidity that I'm just like, are you kidding me right now? Okay, we closed at 7, locked the doors. I'm Swiffering, straightening everything. Doors
Mm-hmm.
are locked. A lady comes up and she pulls on the door. I can see her from where I'm like Swiffering. And she looks around, like up in the air, like Superman's up there or something. I don't know. Like what's up there that's gonna make the door magically open? I don't know. And then she tugs on it again. And then she looks around again. Tugs on it a third time. I'm just like,
Like it's just
what is
magically gonna
happening?
open the third time? I mean,
Right,
okay.
right. And then she like turns around to face the parking lot. And then here comes another lady walking from the car. And I'm assuming she's telling this woman who is walking, I can't hear her because, the door and the glass and all that. I'm assuming she's telling this woman who is walking from the parking lot that the door is locked
Mm-hmm.
because she's tried it 3 times. So then the woman who is walking from the parking lot, I guess, doesn't believe her that the door is locked, comes up and she pulls on the door. It's locked. And so then she sees me
Mm-hmm.
like swiffering and straightening, and she yells through the door, are you closed? I'm just like, yes, we close at 7. This was like 15 after 7
Yeah.
at this point, mind you. It wasn't even like, it was like
No, it
1
was
after
yeah.
7. Okay. It was 15 after 7. Oh, and it was just like, no, I'm not opening the door. Go away.
Mm-mm.
Leave, please.
No.
I want to go home.
Everything's shut down. Can't do it. Sorry.
Like, the door is locked. Why are you asking? Nah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't with these people. No, we're not closed. We just locked the door for our own health. Oh my God. It's just like, I can't. I can't with these people.
Surely you have hours posted on your door.
I mean, it's like on a little like static cling next to the door,
But like it's
but it's
right there. It's
there.
visually right fucking there. Cause like
Yeah, it's
I walk up
there.
to a building and I tug a door and it's locked. My first thing is, where are their hours? And then I go, oh
Yeah,
shit, they're not open. Whoops, bye. And that's it. It was a one-time
right,
tug.
right. Four tugs,
So
four
like
total tugs between these two ladies, and I'm just like,
outside of
and
me,
then you ask, you see me in there like
yeah.
cleaning up. Are you closed?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we close at 7. 15 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of these people, like sometimes they'll be like, you'll have to like go and open the door because they'll be like, oh, I drove like an hour. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
Learn how to use the
Like,
Google. It could have saved you that trip. Sorry.
right. Or call if you don't want to use the Google, make a phone call. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
geez, it's just this week has been insane
Yeah,
with
no,
the
I hate that. I
customers
hate all
and
of that.
their ridiculousness and stupidity, and I just can't stand it. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
jeez. Anyway, I was just been irritated all week by these people. All
No,
week.
I
It's just
understand.
like,
We open the library at 10, but we get there at 9 because there's a bunch of opening stuff you have
uh-huh.
to get up and set up and be ready before you can open the door. You
Right, right,
understand,
right.
that's life.
Right.
Um, so sometimes if everyone is actually chipping in and helping, which doesn't happen enough, but when everyone is chipping in and helping do all the opening
Right.
procedures, then we'll get done within like 30 minutes. So, like, the other 30 minutes, we may be like casually working on some stuff. We may be standing at the desk, kind of dealing with minor issues, chatting to each other, and people will come up and tug on the door.
Right.
And like we watch them. And then they kind of like look at us and we just kind of, because I don't care. So like if they
You're
start to
like,
look in my direction, I go, so that I can't make eye contact with them. I'm like, nope, not gonna do it. Because no. Now, if it's really
like,
stupid cold outside, because that happens, then, we may open a few minutes early to just let people in because it's cold as fuck, but that's about it. Otherwise, it's like our hours haven't
right.
changed. We have never opened
Right.
before 10 o'clock ever. Ever. So I don't know what to do for you.
Right. And I know that, like, okay, we've been at 7 o'clock now for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's not new anymore. Okay. I mean, months now.
Right.
It's not new anymore. It's going on, almost a year at this point.
Well, and
It's not new.
to
So you
me,
all should know better.
there's not been enough time since, because like there's pre-pandemic life and then there's life after, and we've
Yeah.
been in after for such a fucking long time that we know that nothing is the same and that you have to check. You just can't guarantee things anymore. That hours haven't changed or staffing issues
Right.
haven't become like fuck you,
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm. So no,
So,
I'm here for
yeah.
that.
That's my
Judge,
judge is,
good judge.
yeah, people being stupid about things.
Uh-huh.
Making my life difficult. So,
Hmm.
anyway, what is your judge?
My judge are people who are fucking morons when it comes to unions.
Okay.
So,
I feel a story.
well, it's more of a, so like this is my first union job in which I've been like really involved, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
And not
Okay.
just happen to be part of a union, you know.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so at this particular job, I'm on the bargaining team and we're doing the process with the city and yada yada blah blah blah. And the only way that unions get shit done is because you show up. You show up, you wear your t-shirt, you go to the meetings, even if you don't want to go to all the things, like you just understand that, hey, by being part of the union and paying my very tiny, by the way, union dues, it's not that much, guys, calm down. It's like $20 a
Right.
month, I mean, or something, it's something small. Calm down.
Right.
That by doing that, I am ensuring that we're getting the best deal. Because when the union does not have a lot of involvement, then management can basically say, fuck you, we don't care. This is what you're getting. Because we know you don't have a lot of people who are gonna quote unquote strike or do anything.
Right.
They're just
Yeah.
gonna be like, okay.
Yeah.
But so in my current life on the bargaining team, I have been very adamant about getting more people to join the union. So, library, 100% joined because I'm persuasive. What can I say?
Nice.
And
Nice.
in the other departments, they've been doing pretty good. But there are some holdouts. There are these people who are like, well, you're not going to get me the deal that I want. So why should I do that? Like, well, we certainly aren't if you're not going to join and show a united front, you piece of shit.
Okay.
Um, so like, and then there are just like some people who have been taught by the Republican Party, I would like to go ahead and point out, that unions are bad and they just will not hear otherwise. Like they just won't.
Right.
Now, our last contract, where there wasn't a lot of union involvement and we didn't have a huge group of people committed, I think they got like a 2.5% COLA every year, which is cost of living
Uh-huh.
increase, which has put us 11% behind where we should be based on inflation. So that's what happens when you don't have people, you know,
Involved in
involved
trying to,
and
yeah.
committed. So this year, we have people involved. We have people committed. They're showing up to the meetings. They're showing up to city council. They're wearing their shirts. And management got really fucking scared. And I'm not going to say anything on here because it's not really for me to do that. But we got an
Right.
incredible proposal from the city that they can't take back. No backsies. Now, there are things that they have not
Nice.
addressed that we're still fighting
Right.
about. But they have managed to do enough that we probably will not strike on July 1st, which is what I'm pretty sure was going to happen because it was really bad. But they have
Right.
really listened. And the only reason they have listened is because we had such good turnout at our meetings and such good involvement, and people were really showing up and doing stuff. And so now I'm looking at those assholes who still haven't joined the union being like, we fucking did what you asked for. Join the goddamn union.
Right.
Because
You're like,
ultimately,
okay, look what we did.
we did this without
Yep.
you, mind you, but they still get the benefits of everything that we do, which
Right.
sucks. I'm like, you shouldn't get the magical things that we are getting because you didn't join, but whatever, that's another fight. But just,
You're
I'm
like, I'm not gonna
so,
be like the little red hen and keep you from doing it. Okay,
well, and I'm just
fine.
like so fucking irritated at, because Kentucky started being anti-union and like there's all these groups and the Republicans are always like unions destroy jobs. I'm like, no, they don't. Unions make it so that you can't get fired for fucking nothing. It has to be,
Right.
real shit. They have to go through processes. Unions are why we only work 40 hours a week. Unions are why you get time off on weekends. It's why there are minimum periods between opening and or closing and opening. All these things
Right.
exist to your safety. All that shit happens because a group of people got together and said, if you don't fix some of these real issues that are real bad problems, then you're not going to have anyone working for you. And you have to start all over with people who don't know the job.
Right.
And that is a problem. So I'm here to be like, stop hating on unions. Are there going to be some stories where maybe a union thing didn't work out? Well, of course, because people are people. But like
Right.
ultimately, they're important. And if you have the opportunity to join your union, do so. Pay the goddamn dues. Suck it up because it's not just about you, it's about everyone.
Right.
So
Right.
that's all. That's my little soapbox of just, ugh, I'm tired. I'm tired of having to like persuade people that unions are good. I'm like, of course they're fucking good. Without them, you get nothing. Because I can promise you, the city would have given us nothing if we weren't a union.
Nothing.
They don't give a
Yeah.
shit about us. It's very evident. Very, very evident. So, all that to say,
Well, I'm glad you all were able to like get something.
yes. And we still have some things that we're fighting about. Again, I won't go into it because I'm trying
Yeah.
not to be bad. But, I'm not currently plotting a murder, so that's good, right?
I mean, yes, that's good.
I
Yes.
checked out, I think I might have mentioned it a few episodes ago. We got a new book and I was looking at it and it's a fiction book, okay, guys, it's fiction. But it's called How to Murder Your Employer. And I was like, what the
I
hell?
need this. I need this.
And so like I'm looking at I was literally I picked it up because I'm like, what a crazy title. So I pick it up to read like the back or like the inside cover or
Yeah.
whatever. And as I do that, that is when the police came to the library to talk to me because they're doing a meeting room space and I was their point of contact. And so I'm walking out to the police with a book in my hand that says How to Murder Your Employer. And I'm like, it's just a book. It's fine.
It's fine. I work at a library. Ignore me.
But like, thankfully, the cop thought that was pretty hilarious. She's like, "That's funny." It's like, good timing. What can I say? I just picked it up to read what it was about.
You're like, I really don't know.
Like sometimes the universe just puts things together so that I can be like, "Oh, here we go."
Nice.
But that's my judge. That's all.
Cool. Excellent.
Thank you, thank you. Which
All
means
right.
it must be time to go
It is
into our dark places
hard places.
and talk about cults. Ooh. Well, I believe I go first, and as always with our culty episodes, this will be split
Right.
into 2 episodes because holy hell, Batman. It's just
Always.
so much stuff. Like, I just can't. So, for my culty topic this week, I am going to be talking about the Rajneesh.
Oh boy.
Now, why did I pick this topic, Claire? I don't
Because
know.
you live there?
Maybe
Is
it's
that
because I
why?
fucking live in one of the towns in which all of this happened. It's insanity. Holy hell, Batman.
Like because you live there? Is that why?
Because yes. And like bizarrely, it came up in multiple conversations this week from like other people because everyone in town has a story or some weird connection
About
to
it?
the whole thing. And I'm like,
Nice.
well, alrighty then. Here we go. So I will tell you, I got most of my information from the documentary Wild Wild Country on Netflix. If you haven't watched, definitely do that. It's very eye-opening and honestly, some pretty unbiased. Like they try and present 2 competing sides to the story, and I appreciated that. Ultimately, 3 competing sides to the story, but whatever. But
Mhm.
so I like that. Also, Wikipedia to get some cleanup information because you can't catch it all when you're listening. And
Right.
then finally, of course, from the random people who told me their own random facts about being here when it was all going down. All right, so we're going to
First-hand
start.
knowledge. Yay!
Yeah, we're going to start in 1931 on December 11th when Chandra Mohan Jain was born. Now, you don't know who that is, and I don't know who that is, because he eventually changed his
Mhm.
name and started going by the Bhagwan Rajneesh.
Okay.
So, we're just going to refer to him as Bhagwan, because that is how he is primarily referred to in the story.
Okay.
And he experienced his spiritual awakening at the age of 21. He had spent some time at university, he traveled throughout India, and he became very vocal against mainstream religions and political ideologies, including Gandhi. He just was like, none of this. None of this. I don't want
Well,
this.
Gandhi was kind of a dick, so that's fair.
Yes, thank you. He was an Indian mystic and he became the founder of the Rajneesh movement. Now, this particular movement rejected institutional religions, claiming that the spiritual experience could not be organized into any one system of religious dogma. And that's something that I actually kind of was like, okay, I feel that. Like, it doesn't have to,
Uh,
it doesn't all have to be Buddhism
like
or
like
Christianity
don't
or,
just like put it in a box,
yeah.
like
There's different ways to experience spiritual stuff, I guess.
right,
It doesn't have to
right.
be blah blah. Um, he taught dynamic meditation, which I'm sorry, it's just weird. I can't. This is I'm okay. So I'm pro meditation. I suck at it, but like I'm pro meditation. But
Right, right.
this was basically making yourself hyperventilate. It was about breathing really fast and very furiously, like almost like
Uh-huh.
I assume what it's like to give birth or whatever, where you're breathing.
Uh-huh. Right.
And so like you would do that until I guess really you were hyperventilating. I don't know, because that gives you a flood of stuff in your system, I guess, and so it
That still doesn't sound like fun. Like,
no,
no, I don't want
no.
to hyperventilate.
But
No.
then
Mm.
so like once you've done that, then you just let it all go, and you can scream, you can shout, you can roll around, you can shake, and do whatever it feels like you should be doing, I guess. But like
Okay.
so you're screaming and
Weird.
whatever. And then after that,
Bizarre.
then you go silent. Once you've let it all out, then you're just silent.
Then you just stop. Like,
Yeah, I'm like, okay. Sure. Whatever. Not my thing. Um, but what can I say? Okay, so the Rajneesh also rejected aesthetic practices, like Gandhi was super into,
uh-huh.
saying that followers should live fully in the world, but without attachment to it. So, like, you want to have nice things? Cool. Have those nice things. Just don't be attached to them. But you can have them. You can enjoy them. Why the heck not?
Okay.
Also had a very, very progressive attitude about sexuality.
Interesting.
So, like, in a lot of in a lot of the videos on Wild Wild Country, there's a lot of naked people.
Uh-huh.
A lot of naked people. Apparently, they just the whole free sex thing was super there. It's just do whatever you want with whomever you want, live your best life. It's kind of like okay,
Cool. Cool.
whatever. That did cause some issues, some controversies, even within India, which is where all of this started.
Uh-huh. I mean, I can see that. Yeah. I can see why that would cause some issues.
Fair. But Rajneeshism became very huge in India, to the point that the Bhagwan built an ashram and had thousands of people following him. And soon Westerners became really enthralled. I'm pretty sure the whole open sex thing was really part of that because I think at this point we were like in the
Probably.
like 60s, 70s, and it's like, yeah,
Right,
yeah, yeah.
right. Yeah.
People were looking for something different by then. We'd all gotten over the whole World War garbage and wanted something new and different, and I get it. They also, for some reason, chose to wear basically red, like solid. It's more like a maroon red. It's like a 70s red. Very
Okay,
maroon,
gotcha.
very
Mhm.
some oranges, some pinks, but like they
Mhm.
all wore like the same color clothes when they were out and about, so they're very
Okay.
easy to identify. Um, but again, I made a little note here. So many nude videos of group meditations. So many.
Nude.
Nude.
Okay.
So many. Everybody just in the nude. I'm like, that's cool. I mean, I'm not I'm prone like I would go to a nude beach. I would absolutely do that. But I'm not sure that I would want any kind of religious experience nude. Does that make sense? I think that's where my line
Right.
is. I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
don't know how I feel about that. But whatever.
Right. I get that. Yeah.
But so they became very successful and Bhagwan realized very early on that Westerners were not only helping to grow his ideology, but were a great source of income. Because
Indeed, they are.
when Westerners came, they're not spending Indian rupees. They have
Right.
dollars. They have
Yeah.
francs. They have pounds. They have things
Yeah.
that are much higher valued in the money market at that time.
Right.
And so the Bhagwan decided, you know what? Meditation is a product that can be sold. Because he's like, I can sell this. I can make money with this. And
I'm gonna market it and I'm gonna
right?
sell it for big bucks like
Now,
everybody else does.
now it's hard to do all of these things on your own. It's always helpful to have someone kind of be your
Right.
point person to kind of help you out. And this is where Sheela comes in. Now, Sheela was the Bhagwan's personal secretary for the vast majority of the time that things were going on. She met Bhagwan with her father and was immediately enthralled. Like, she talks about the experience about walking in and just like feeling it, just going like a rush in her body and just knowing that he was the most important person that had ever been and that he was real and true. Now, she was
Wow.
16 at the
Okay.
time, so there's that.
Okay. Okay.
But so she becomes like his main person, and there are videos and pictures and things from all this, and you can just see like the adoration in her eyes as she looks at Bhagwan. Like she is 100% in, and you can just tell. Like
Yeah.
it's special.
Like she is
But
all in. Like she's like,
and so she takes over and does a lot of managing things for him and becomes his point person so that when he decides that he is done speaking publicly, he just
yeah.
decides, I'm done. And he goes into silence and he stops seeing people. So, like, he's not coming out of his ashram, he's not coming out of his
Yeah.
rooms to talk to the people within the ashram. He exists. He can be seen from a distance, but he
He's not
stops.
speaking to anybody.
He's not
Yeah.
speaking. And so Sheila becomes his voice because she is essentially his second in command.
Gotcha.
And so they decide that they need a new goal because India is becoming problematic. Um, at this time, Mrs. Gandhi, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, is in power, and there's a lot of animosity between those two groups. I'm not 100% sure why. I also don't really care, but it became harder
Right.
for the Rajneesh to exist in India because they were being viewed as a threat to the powers that be in India. So they were like, you know what we need to do? It's time that we create our own commune somewhere. And their goal was to get 50,000 people in like the first 2 or 3 years and to have 100,000 by the time they reach 10 years. So they're essentially thinking, we're building a city. We need
Yeah.
a place. And at this point, there are some other Westerners that are within the golden circle or whatever you want to call it of making decisions and communicating. And he gets the bright idea of showing them the US Constitution and points out the whole freedom of religion thing. It's like, we're allowed all these things in the US. And so, even though they
Of the
had sent,
United States.
yeah, they had sent people out to lots of other places to look around, they decided on the United States. Which brings us to 1981, a tiny ass town in Oregon called Antelope. It's very small. There are only maybe 50 people, not quite 50 people, that live in this tiny town in the high desert. Now, if you don't know what high desert means, because most people
Yes.
don't, that means that it is desert, as in it's hot, it doesn't rain a whole lot, and, it's pretty sparse. There's a lot of trees and stuff out there. Like it's grassland or whatever, but mostly brown and dead looking. rocky and whatever. But it's high desert because its elevation is pretty high, so it can get fucking cold.
Yes.
So, and it snows. It snows in the high desert. It's not weird. But so, not a lot of people there. And suddenly they find out about this agricultural commune that has bought a 60,000 acre property that they knew as Big Muddy Ranch.
60,000 acre? Holy crap.
60,000 acres. Yes. No one lives out.
Dang.
Okay. So, like, Western Oregon, green, lush, rainy,
Yes. Uh-huh.
beautiful.
Yeah, because you were saying that there's like
What you
as you
think the
go
Pacific
in.
Northwest should look like.
Yeah.
That's Western Oregon. Eastern Oregon, dry, empty. No one lives there. It's awful. It's just emptiness. So, no trees. No water. Just whatever.
Noted. Okay.
And so the locals are kind of like, what is this? This is weird.
This isn't normal.
Especially because like almost as soon as they get there, they are trying to like close roads. Again, nothing is out here. So like not highways, not interstates, just a road that goes to like two places. So they're closing roads. And suddenly there's all sorts of building materials, mobile homes, things that are being brought in. They're doing some crazy kind of construction, and it turns out they're literally building a city. Like they are putting in power, they're digging out tunnels to put pipes in. They have houses, they build shopping centers, restaurants, farms, they have an airport. Like they literally have built a city out in the middle of nowhere where there was no city. They were very self sufficient, so they produced their own milk, their own cheese, they made their own bread. They did grow everything environmentally conscious, trying to ensure good use of water because water is always going to be an issue.
Yeah.
And they named their new area Rajneesh. And so all this is happening. The locals are I need to just like kind of inform you. This is a tiny town. This is not like families. This is mostly retired white Christian people. It's very important. So then,
Gotcha.
after the city has kind of been built or whatever, that is when the Bhagwan himself comes for the first time. And so, like, they literally are rolling out the red carpet for him. They have, like, built him his own little mini compound with lush green grass, and it's all beautiful and perfect. And they're showing him this new city. And so now that he's there, everyone is coming. Like all of the Rajneesh from all over the world are coming because they're here.
Okay.
They're coming to see Bhagwan. They're coming to be part of this
Yes.
commune, this great experiment to build a self-sufficient city filled with like-minded people.
Yes.
And so the tiny town of Antelope is now not only inundated with the original Rajneesh that built a city, but now there are hundreds of people pouring through the town daily to come either just to visit, to be part of the Rajneesh movement, to see Bhagwan. So there are hundreds that are coming in to move, to live there. And so they didn't like that.
Well, I mean, I don't blame them
They
because they're
didn't
used to like one thing, and it's like, whoa,
they
this is
didn't
not
like it
what
at
we
all.
signed up for.
Well, and this is not like the the area is not like in town. Spencer's waving at me through the window. It's very creepy. Very creepy. So, like, this is not, it's not a ranch. The ranch wasn't near town. Like, it's outside of town. It's,
Right.
there, it's just you have to go through town, I guess, to get to it, maybe. And so, they didn't like it. To be fair, Jonestown had only been a couple of years before that, and then here's all these thousands of people
Yeah.
wearing weird maroon clothes that that are saying weird things. No one's ever heard of Bhagwan. No one's ever heard of meditation. This is the
Right.
early 80s. And so, I get it. And in fact, this is one of my favorite things. The daughter of one of the people who went to cover the Jonestown story and was killed was a member of the Rajneesh. Like, she ended up joining the Rajneesh movement. And it
Oh,
became
wow.
a huge angle for news. So, like, once they knew that there's like the
Wow.
Rajneesh became, well, maybe it's a cult. And can you believe that the daughter of someone who was murdered by a cult is in a cult? Like, you know how the news is.
Mm. Yep, there's always an angle we're gonna find, and we're gonna.
Yeah, somebody somewhere has done
Yep.
something.
Right, right, right.
So this is when the locals become huge fucking dicks, okay? And I
Okay.
say that 100% because I get it. I live here. I get it. And so they don't like it, they hate it, and so they start like tagging buildings because what the hell? Like they're fucking adults, but they're like using spray paint.
But we're gonna like turn into teenagers and start
Mm-hmm.
spray painting shit on the side of buildings. Okay,
And
cool.
so they're tagging like the Rajneesh buildings with "Red is dead," and they start shooting rifles near the property lines. And they start,
Okay, so they basically reverted to being teenagers, is what you're
yes.
saying.
And then
Okay,
they made
cool.
stickers and signs saying "Bag the Bhagwan." Like, it felt
What?
like it feels really off. Like, because I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, like I know how all this ends, and I know that there's a lot of really bad shit that happens. But I
Right,
argue, and I argue right now, and I'll argue at the end, if they had not been Christian assholes, because that's where a lot of this comes
right.
from, and hadn't just been like, you're different and we don't like that. We don't like your kind here. Because Oregon, by the way, shitty history with Black people, Native Americans, Mormons, and like literally anyone that isn't white Christian people. It's not a great history. So
Right.
not surprising. But like if they had just not, I feel like 90% of the things that happened would not have happened. If they just let them
Probably
alone,
not.
they probably would have maintained some peace. It would have fizzled out normal, like normal things, but whatever.
Right.
But so then they decide it's like, well, we need more help with this. This is stupid. So they get,
We need more help. Oh, geez.
well, because you got 40 people against hundreds. So then they get the Thousand Friends of Oregon involved. Now, a Thousand Friends of Oregon is a nonprofit that focuses on land use and planning. And so the Thousand Friends sued the Rajneesh for building a city on a ranch, claiming that it was land use abuse, and that is where everything starts going fucking bad. So,
Okay.
um, the Rajneesh were like, "Fuck, we're just trying to go on our own, away from all of you. We're not trying to bother you. We're just trying to do our
Right,
thing."
right.
And so now they have lawsuits that they're having to deal with. And fun fact about the Rajneesh, they really appealed to a lot of what I would call like mid up level people, like not, I guess not blue collar, white. So there's like
White
lawyers,
collar.
there's
Yeah. Uh-huh.
doctors, there's all sorts of like they're building a city correctly because they have architects and
You're
engineers
talking
and
about
things
like
that have
upper
already
class.
joined. So like they have
Yeah.
this knowledge base. So like they have lawyers that are gonna fight on this, but
Yeah.
they're also clever assholes, and I love that because they're like, fine, if you don't want us to have our city, if we can't be like a town on our own, we'll just take over the town of Antelope, which I think is hilarious.
uh,
So, like, they started buying properties for sale. Now, this is a tiny town. People tend to leave those towns, and then you can't sell your property because nobody wants it. So, they were able
right.
to buy a lot, and they paid whatever asking price was. They didn't bargain,
Yeah.
they paid
Yeah.
asking price. And they started approaching people who were still in town and started buying businesses. So there was a cafe where all the locals went, and the Rajneesh bought it and made it the Buddha Cafe. And like the locals, there's so much great video from all this because it was such a news story.
They
So the
probably like
locals were like
lost
freaking out.
their
They were like,
minds.
I'm not even gonna try it. I'm not gonna eat their
Right.
weird food, I'm like,
Right, right.
so like then the town of course gets mad because they're being bested by the Rajneesh. And so they're like, you can't have our town. We're gonna disincorporate the town. And so
Okay.
again,
Cool. Whatever.
lots of stickers, better dead than red, because fucking idiots. So like they're all voting to disincorporate the town.
Okay, whatever.
And so in order to do that, you have to vote. But
Yeah.
at this point, the town had grown a bit because the Rajneesh had bought land and property and businesses and homes and things. And so they
Right.
now had people living in town. So the final vote was 42 voted to disincorporate, which was the entire town before the Rajneesh came, the whole 42.
Uh-huh.
And then 55 voted
Ah,
not to disincorporate. Those were all Rajneesh who had moved into town. So they had
nice.
basically doubled the population of the town. More than doubled.
Nice.
Now, again, here, everyone's a dick. The Rajneesh decided to be kind of dicks about it because they're like, we won. Haha, assholes, we
Right.
won. And so they renamed the town Rajneesh. And then they do things like they bought like a city park, or they took over the city park and changed the ordinances and all sorts of stuff. It's a whole. We'll get into that in just a second. Okay.
So wait, so you have like Rajneesh and then you have Rajneesh Purim.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Okay. So that they thought things were good. They have a town. It's going to be fine. But then in Portland, a hotel that was owned and run by the Rajneesh was bombed.
Ooh. No.
Some guy had checked in with 4 bags and they were bombs. Now, it seems that no one was hurt, but it was the first
Right.
real terroristic attack on the Rajneesh. And so Sheela, who at this point is the main person at Rajneesh Puram, because she is the one going to nightly meetings with
Right.
Bhagwan, she's the one that's communicating to everyone else about what Bhagwan is saying.
Uh-huh.
This is when she decides they need guns. Because they have these local shooting guns on their property lines. They have the fact that they now
Gotcha.
have had an attack. And so, Lord, this is when it starts to get scary because she at one point makes the. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, it froze. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, I know.
So she at one point in the documentary says one of Bhagwan's sayings is Jesus teaches to turn the other cheek, but I say take both cheeks. And I'm like, fuck, man.
Whoa.
Bhagwan's got some
Whoa.
like
Snap.
viciousness, man. Like, god damn it.
Whoa. I say take both cheeks. Okay. Well,
So they start getting guns.
you see, he's taking his like page from Muhammad more than Jesus.
I
So
mean, you do what you gotta do,
I
man. But I'm
mean, it's
take
fair.
both cheeks. Like, whoa, what an insane! It's so crazy. Okay, okay. So back to the city of Antelope. So they've saved the town. They've renamed the town to Rajneesh, and now they have taken over city council because they have the majority of votes. And so they have all but one seat, and the one Antelope guy on the city council is like playing it chill. He's like, I don't like this, but like I'm not gonna be hostile.
He's
I
right.
want it because he's like, someone needs to know what the fuck is being said in these things, what's happening.
Right, right. Yeah.
Um, so they end up passing an ordinance to take over a city park so that it is now a nude sunbathing location. And I'm
What?
like, and one of
Oh
my
my
favorite things.
gosh.
So like one of the people that they interviewed was talking about how apparently like lots of sex must have been happening in the new town of Rajneesh
Uh
because like the OG townspeople could hear them And it was like they sounded like animals.
Oh, well, we can't have
And they're
that.
like
Those,
freaking out because essentially they're hearing people have orgasms all day and all night. And like, it's
oh my
hilarious to me.
gosh.
It cracks me
Oh,
up.
well, these white Christian people, we can't have that, you know. That's too disturbing. We don't know what to do
Right?
with that.
But so the Rajneesh end up um, carrying assault rifles as they guard their property lines from the other ranchers around who had, again, previously been shooting around those property lines just to be dicks. So, like, now they're carrying guns. The Rajneesh are carrying guns. Uh, the Rajneesh made a police force because they're a town and they can do that. They called
Right.
it the Peace Force. LOL.
Okay.
And
Cool.
then, as things do, all of the little towns that happen to be in this area started buying shit tons of guns as well. They're like, they've got guns, we gotta have guns. This is why
Oh,
guns are bad,
no.
guys.
I see why this is going to be bad.
But the Rajneesh were like, because the OG people are still freaking out, and neighboring towns are freaking out. And they're like,
Right.
we will leave Antelope. You can have it. All we want is zoning permission to have our OG city that we already built. That's all we want. We just want to be left the fuck alone in our little city over here. Just leave us be.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so at this point, Sheela is starting to go on the media circuit because this is huge news. It's big, huge news happening everywhere. National attention on this tiny town in Oregon that got voted out and became
Right.
Rajneesh and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I laugh because most of the like questions were about the whole free sex thing, which makes me laugh.
You're like, that's not the issue here.
And like the Rajneesh itself, like from all this media attention and everything going on, it was exploding as a movement almost overnight. Communes were popping up across the world. So, like India, Australia, Italy, Germany, Amsterdam, Switzerland, Portugal, Japan, like all over. People were joining the Rajneesh. But of course, the cry of the locals was just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right, and they're all butthurt because they're like,
Uh,
there's a lot of stuff that's like they don't even believe in God, and I'm like, they don't have to.
it's exhausting.
I know, God, it's So then in Rajneeshpuram, they have a big, huge world festival where all the followers from across the world are able to come, and it's a huge, big to do. Like some of the videos look like they had fun. There's like whitewater rafting. They had lots of dancing. There are hot air balloons. It kind of looked like fun. I was like, I'd go to that. Everyone seems to be having a good time. But so lots of money was coming in because, as we
Yeah.
know, that's important. But again, locals are like, this is my problem. So, like, in the end, Rajneesh bad. But, like, the locals are such fucking out of touch assholes that I'm like, you made this happen with your hate and your vitriol and your pushing back
Okay, gotcha.
because
Yeah.
it's like they kept talking about how it's like a concentration camp up there. And I'm like, no, it's not. No one's dying. No one is being forced to go there.
Right. Yeah, like, do you even know what a concentration camp is?
And
Like,
I'm just like, God, like, it's so conflicting. Ugh, God, so irritating. Okay. But on the other side, like as I said, making shit tons of money, the Rajneesh. And so the Bhagwan was treated like royalty. He had dozens of Rolls Royces. Now, how many do you need? You need like maybe two. You have the one that you're using and then your backup in case the one you're using is, getting cleaned or
right.
something.
Right.
But he
Do you
had
need dozens? No. I don't
dozens.
think so. That's ridiculous.
He had millions of dollars, lots of jewelry. He wore all these like fancy jeweled robes that had like jewels on the sleeve. So, like, that felt super gross. Because you're like, this feels bad and dirty. I don't like that.
Right. Yeah.
And so,
You're like, tell me that you're like skimming off the top without telling me that you're skimming off the top.
right.
Just saying.
So, locals still very angry. Again, basically concentration camps up in here. Gross.
Right.
So one of the locals went to throw his trash away in kind of like the town dump. And found a bunch of Rajneesh trash from them, and there were lots of documents that were intact but said things like "shred this." Obviously, they didn't because it ended up in the dump. So, first
Oh
mistake,
my
Rajneesh.
gosh.
And so this is where it included, like, they had like minutes from meetings that said things like mail had to be read and looked at before it was allowed to pass through. Because at this point, they are overseeing the post office. Like, they're
Right.
like, okay, that's all kinds of illegal. There are all sorts of documents about arranged marriages, which went against the whole free love, you don't need to be married kind of mentality of the Rajneesh. So it was weird that there were arranged marriages going on, which we'll come back
Uh-huh.
to.
Okay.
And so he ended up giving it to the Attorney General of Oregon, which started an investigation. So now the state of
So
Oregon is
basically
coming
he
in.
found trash that was suspicious
Yeah.
and he handed it over.
And
Okay.
so now the state of Oregon is involved.
Okay.
And they file a suit saying that the city of Rajneesh is and the existence of Rajneeshpuram, which is not technically a city, uh, are a violation of the separation of church and state.
Interesting.
Right? So, since they are allowed to have a police force, it gave them access to information about people because they're able to do like the background checks and they have access to law enforcement systems.
Yeah.
And since their loyalty was to Bhagwan and not to the government, I guess, like
Yeah.
that was an issue. The fact that they all had guns is an issue. They had a public school, but since it was being run by teachers like wearing the religious garb and probably they're worried about, is it really a public school?
Oh,
It's
okay, gotcha.
religion,
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Essentially, Bhagwan was like the mayor or would appoint the mayor, or city council was basically appointed by Sheela and Bhagwan, and the election was just for show.
Oh,
And
okay,
so they're
gotcha.
saying that the city should be null and void because it violates the Constitution. Now, just for some context, this stuff comes up, the whole, blah, 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 separation of church and state. But usually it's things like a teacher let kids pray before class, or
Yeah.
some stupid city put a religious scene at the courthouse. And so ultimately it's not like you have to be null and void. It's stop doing that.
Right. Yeah.
But that's not what they did here. And so it gets dark and dirty again, because then we have like federal government, we have state government, county government, local governments. They're all like meeting to try and figure out how to deal with the Rajneeshi problem. And it just feels super racist to me because, again, all of the signs and things that you see around, or like when people are marching or whatever, is all this, they don't even believe in God. And I'm like,
Right.
if your
Yeah.
argument is separation of church and state, then you can't have God language either. Do you understand?
Right.
Like,
Yes.
you can't do both things. But so Sheila, again, main voice for the Rajneesh, um, and Sheila has just kind of taken over, and she becomes kind of the focal point. So a lot of people really hate Sheila as well.
Of course. Yeah.
So agencies are pushing hard onto the Rajneesh, trying to get rid of them, and so the Rajneesh have to get creative to kind of fight back. So that is when they start recruiting homeless people from all over the country to move to Rajneeshpuram.
Oh no.
Now, they they paid for the buses to take them, and when they got there, they took care of them. They cleaned them up, provided them medical care, dental care, vision care. They got food, they fed them. They even allowed them to have 2 beers every day if they wanted. And so
Wow. So
ultimately they got.
they gave homeless people more of a shot than we give homeless
That
people.
is
So
correct. They sure did. They ended up with about 6,000 people from all over the country. Now,
cool.
why would they do that, Claire? I mean, maybe out of the goodness of their own hearts, but probably not, because we're talking cults.
Right. Of course.
Instead, It's all for the votes.
Ah.
So the political pressures were getting to them, and they decided, you know what? We gotta do something. So Antelope and Rajneesh and Rajneesh Puram are all in Wasco County. And that election year, there were 2 seats for the Wasco County Commissioners that were going to be open. And they wanted to make sure that Rajneesh were in those seats. So that way they could have some more control and kind of get rid of this political pressure. Now, I'm not sure then, but currently there are only 3 county commissioners. I know because I work for Wasco County Library. So we have 3 commissioners. And so what this did, because they weren't secretive about it. They put their people forward. So now all of Wasco County is freaking the shit out. Because before it was just like an Antelope problem, but now it's like Wasco.
A whole county
The
problem.
whole county is freaking out. And like everyone is doomsdaying, they're going to take over the state next and blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yeah.
So, fun fact, Oregon voter law. So you only have to be a resident of Oregon for like 20 days before you can register to vote. So you just have to live here for 20. I'm not in Oregon, but you only have to live there for 20 days. And you can essentially register at, I think on election day. I think you can still register up to then and vote because it's good. I'm pro that. So again, no crime is being committed. They have brought people in that they're taking care of, that are living there, that have been there, and they want to register to vote. So,
I mean, they're doing things the legal way.
they are. And that is one of my big points here. Nothing that they did was illegal until the end, when everything goes to hell.
Yeah.
But so they take their street people to the Dalles to go and register to vote, and the Wasco County clerk refuses to let them register, claiming that she has reason to believe there's something illegal going on. And I'm pretty sure that's illegal. I don't think she's allowed to do that, to be like, I'm just not registering you. This, to me, it gives me it gives me flashbacks to bitch face in Kentucky that wouldn't grant marriage license.
Kim Davis.
Thank you. And I'm
Kim
like,
Davis.
You can't do that. You don't get to just decide. It's like these people came. They're not being forced to vote any one way. It's a secret vote. Like they can vote
like they were just
they
registering.
want. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but so they got stopped there.
Shady.
They weren't allowed. They weren't allowed to register to vote, and so that's problematic. Then the other thing that's pretty problematic is that there wasn't like a huge screening process on what homeless people they brought, and so they ended up with some issues because a lot of homelessness is a result of mental health issues or things that are bigger than you understand. And so there were issues within, they call them the streets people in a lot of the communication, but with them being in Rajneesh Puram. So sometimes they would get into, there'd be like big fights, or like someone would have a mental health breakdown. And so it was decided, this is where things get bad. It was decided that all of the street people would be sedated with Halidol. It was done without their permission, and it was done without their knowledge. No. They put it in the beer.
No.
Yes.
Oh, no.
And eventually,
that's not good. No.
Eventually, when because everything was falling apart, eventually they got rid of a lot of the streets people and just dropped them off in the Dalles or in Portland. And some of them they dropped off at gunpoint, like, you can't be here anymore. So, like, things got bad.
Wow.
But Sheela was really focused on retribution against Wasco County. And this is where things take a turn.
Okay.
Suddenly, in the Dalles, the health department is getting calls about people with food poisoning symptoms. And it was particularly unusual because it seemed that the food poisoning was coming on fast, faster than anything they'd seen before. And they had the CDC come in because it was a big deal. And they decided it was salmonella, but they had a really hard time trying to track it down because there was no one single commonality between the 750 people who got sick. Now,
Holy shit.
I know, right?
750 people.
750 people.
Well,
Now, they were in the documentary, they said they were able to link 3 restaurants, but according to the people I work with, it was more like 7. It was 7 restaurants. And
wow.
they had no idea if it was like a single patron that had gone around that had somehow passed it, or if it was a food handler. And they finally decided that it was restaurant employees who lived in the same household that had somehow cross-contaminated all these restaurants. But some suspected the Rajneesh.
Mm.
Also happening at the time, the Bhagwan had attracted some Hollywood types to his movement. Cult. It's culty now.
It's
Cult.
culty.
It's culty now. And was able to get even more money because Hollywood types have more money. And so he started letting the Hollywood people kind of take over, and it was pushing Sheela out. And she did not handle that well. We'll go with that.
Oh, yeah, no, I can see why that would make her mad. Yeah. Yep.
And
She's number 2, and
yeah,
number 2 is like,
she doesn't like to share. It's not
no,
her. It's not her strength. Sharing's not her strength.
no.
So also, the Bhagwan was trying to get religious teacher status for a visa in order to stay in the country and to make Rajneeshpuram in Oregon his actual residence instead of just, visiting, hanging out.
Okay.
Now, this is where it gets, shitty again. Immigration kept trying to say that since he was in silence, he could not be a religious teacher. And like one person was like, so you're
I
saying
mean,
if the Pope has like laryngitis or something, like he's not the Pope anymore? Is that
right, like,
what the
what?
hell? I mean, eventually they had to grant his visa because it was illegal to not.
Right.
Lord. But the politicians finally found something. They finally,
Finally.
like in all of their whatever. So they finally were able to track down that what was happening with the arranged marriages was actually immigration fraud.
Oh,
So
sneaky,
what
sneaky.
they would do is they would have an American citizen who is Rajneesh and a foreign member of Rajneesh move to a city, maybe like Houston, Texas, like just somewhere else, where they would get an apartment, they'd get married, they'd have lots of pictures together and do lots of things that look like they were like a real couple and like literally living their lives. And then they would get a green card for the foreign partner. After they were able to get the green card, they would return to the commune back in Oregon and go back to their respective partners or whatever they were doing.
Gotcha.
So that's what the arranged marriages were about. That is illegal.
Yes.
Okay, back to Wasco County. Election day. It's one of the biggest turnouts in history for the county commissioner positions. A 93% voter turnout.
That's
93.
like unheard
It
of.
is unheard of. And since the Rajneesh had not been allowed to register their people to vote, Wasco County won. But Sheela was angry. Super fucking angry. And so lots of things happened that ultimately seems to be traced back to Sheela. Maybe Bhagwan, maybe both, maybe none. It's very complicated. So they set the planning office in the Dalles on fire.
What?
They delivered boxes of chocolates to people that were related. So like the two commissioners who won seats and like some other people got boxes of chocolates saying, "Thank you for helping save the Columbia River Gorge." Each box had a poisoned chocolate and it nearly killed a couple people.
Oh my gosh.
A
Talk about being
judge,
petty.
a judge had taken a glass of water from. That one was a little confusing to me. I don't know if he was there, but had taken a glass of water and he ended up being poisoned from drinking. They had
Wow.
there's assassination plot uncovered to assassinate the Attorney General of the state of Oregon. There may have been a plot to blow up the courthouse in the Dalles, and it
Oh
goes
my
on
gosh.
and on and on. And so,
Dang.
like, all this is happening, and things are bad, and everything's bad. Sheila's mad because she didn't get what she wanted, and
Right.
she's mad at Bhagwan because he is like giving all these Hollywood types his attention and favor, and she's like, "I'm here doing your fucking work." And so they have some kind of a rift, and she leaves. She's like, "Fuck this shit." And so she and
Because
like
now
a
basically she's
handful,
doing all the real work and he's not doing
he's not
anything.
doing crap. And
And he's the one
so,
who's getting all the money. Yeah.
yes, he is. So she ends up leaving with like a handful of followers that have really kind of started following Sheela, not like as a guru, but like
Yeah. Uh-huh.
see that she's the one that's doing all the work. She's doing the work.
Right.
And they're like, fuck this, we're out. So they leave and they go to Germany. And as soon as they leave, Bhagwan breaks his silence
Magically.
and decides to come out and accuse Sheila of stealing money, of
Of
doing all the
course he
bad
does.
things, of causing um saying that she was responsible for the salmonella poisoning in the Dalles, that she had plotted to assassinate people, that she had tried to kill his doctor because at one point, and this is weird.
What?
Yes. So at one point, Sheila has like has bugged the Bhagwan's residence. It has people listening to the tapes so that they can find out what he's saying to other people because she's being left out. Remember, she's not the
Uh-huh.
Hollywood
Yeah.
chosen, and finds out that the Bhagwan may be having the doctor kill him, like give him life-ending drugs or whatever, and has like planned the date and everything. And
Right.
so she is thinking that they have brainwashed the Bhagwan. And so she puts in an attempted murder on the doctor to try and stop this from happening. So whole like there's a whole bunch of crazy weird things happening in the
Oh my
background.
gosh.
But anyway, so like he's
That's
accusing her of all
bananas.
this. And then the government is also just like, the fuck is happening? We still want blood. We still want rid of the Rajneesh because they're still there. They're all still in Rajneesh Puram. The Bhagwan is still there.
Right.
And so, because the Bhagwan is publicly making all these claims, it gives them what they need to get search warrants to go in and look at stuff. And so, so then there, it gets insanity to me because because they had their spat, that is what let them all the federal government and people in to come look through all their documents and everything.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
what leads to kind of the end. And so when they realize when Bhagwan realizes that they're coming for him, because he is the cult leader, let's be real.
Right.
He ends up fleeing suddenly with a group of people, and they make it to Charlotte, North Carolina, where he gets arrested. And like at the same time, Sheila and a couple of other people that were within it, they get arrested and everybody's getting extradited back to Oregon. So they all come
Uh-huh.
back with all of these accusations. Some things they can kind of prove, some things they can't. Ultimately, Sheila ends up with like a 4.5 year prison sentence, and she has to pay back nearly $500,000 in fines or fees or whatever.
Wow.
And one of her people went ahead and pled guilty for the attempted murder on the doctor and she ended up getting 10 years in prison. Now, they both ended up doing their time in federal prison because that was safer for them than to be in the state of Oregon.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
Because Oregon, really angry at this point. Bhagwan ends up deciding to plead guilty to the immigration fraud, which ultimately revoked his visa so that he would leave. And so he goes back to
Okay.
India. And so that is when everything really just kind of falls apart, and the Rajneesh Puram ends up kind of, people leave. Some of them go to India where he is to kind of continue that. He dies a few years later, theoretically from natural causes. I don't know. Wasn't there. It's very
You're like,
complicated. Well, because he may or may not have been trying to kill himself. I don't know. There's so many weird facets about this. But like, there is this, so like there was the divide of, the locals and the Rajneesh. And then there was a divide between Bhagwan and Sheela, and where people fell on either side of that. Like, who actually ordered all this stuff? Like, because they
right.
did the largest bioterror attack that has ever happened in the history of the United States in the Dalles by sprinkling salmonella in salad bars. You remember how we had salad bars back in the old school days? So they had
Yes.
people go in and they had on their own property set up a lab and grew salmonella because they found all this out when they came and, actually looked at all the documents and buildings and stuff. And they had sprinkled the salmonella in salad bars in several restaurants in the Dalles, and that's why everybody got sick. That's also why there's only one salad bar left in that town. Everybody got rid of them. No more salad bars.
Ew.
But like, it's such a crazy bananas story to me, because you're watching,
It
especially in the
is. It's
documentary, you're watching these people who lived through it with very different perspectives. Because you have Sheela, she tells her story. And like, do I think she's a sociopath? Kind of. Do I
okay.
think that she did those things because Bhagwan either told her specifically to do them, or it was like, we have to retaliate, we have to do these things? I 100%, 1200% believe that he is the one that directed all that, because like, what the fuck?
Right.
But Bhagwan turned so immediate, like, to accuse her of all that stuff the moment she left, like, she was doing nothing. She just needed a way. She's like, I don't want to be this, I want to do this, I'm out. But she was saying nothing about him until he started saying shit about her. So,
It wasn't even like she left and she started talking. It was just
right.
like she left and then he immediately turned on her. And it
Right.
was like,
And that is what
oh, no, 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 no,
started
no.
the huge downfall that led to the complete total end of the Rajneesh
Uh huh.
in Oregon. And so, what's really, I heard lots of weird like local stories. So one of my coworkers owned a landscaping company when this was happening. She and her husband at the time did landscaping, and they helped landscape part of Rajneesh Puram.
Did they
They
really?
did. They helped, like, they brought in the stuff. They helped, transported plants, and
That's
like helped. She's like, it's
nuts.
weird to look. It was before anything had happened. Like, it was. She just,
Like it
um,
was a normal job to them.
yeah.
Like, and then,
And then it's
and
like,
then stuff
oh
happens and you're
hell.
like,
I
eh.
mean, she said it was weird because like everyone's wearing maroon, and you just felt weird. But like,
Right.
it was just one of those. It's weird. Everything's here was weird, but that's about it. Another one of my coworkers, her grandparents both were poisoned in the salmonella poisoning that
Oh,
happened.
no.
Um, Another coworker, the hotel that got blown up in Portland, it had been a women's apartment housing, and she had lived
Okay.
in the floor above where the bombing happened. Like that, she had lived there for years, and they
Oh,
had left. Obviously, it had been years before, but she was
wow.
like, it was so weird. The bomb was like the floor below where I had lived.
That's nuts. Oh my gosh.
Um, Another one of my coworkers was telling me that like the Rajneesh rented a lot of construction equipment from the Dalles, and like so they were part
Uh-huh.
of like delivering that, or and how weird that was. So like he had been out there. Um And then apparently the one of this, I guess, city or county, I guess county, one of the county employees at the time had to make new city signs when it was no longer Antelope and had become Rajneesh. And he
Yeah.
refused to deliver. He made the signs, but he refused to deliver them. So one of them is hanging up in a bar in town, and I think that's hilarious.
It just says Rajneesh.
Yeah, and it's like weird, so
Nice.
weird. So like, there's all these weird like touches. I have some of my coworkers who
Oh
were
my
young
gosh.
at the time say they can remember the Dalles being flooded with people in maroon clothes, and that even to this day, seeing like the maroon, like someone wearing all maroon freaks them out. Holy hell.
Wow.
But that is the story of the Rajneesh. And like there's shit tons of other things. Like you should watch the documentary if you haven't, or read about it, cuz like it
Wow.
also came out that they had been like tapping or recording every building that got built in Rajneeshpuram was wired, and they had recordings from everything. Like people had no idea. There were
Oh my
secret
gosh.
tunnels that people didn't know about. Like it's a whole thing. So like, whoa.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
There you have it.
Well, that was insane
Right?
and a very culty cult.
Yes, it is. It's one of those things that like it feels culty, but there again I argue
I
if
don't feel like it
that Antelope,
started
no,
culty.
no, I swear that if the people of Antelope had just been like, whatever, you do you, we'll do
Right.
us, we'll look at you a little funny and maybe talk about you behind your back because it's weird, but like you stay over
Right.
there and we'll stay over here. And I think it probably would have like they never would have gotten guns if things hadn't escalated.
Right.
They never would have built a lab to poison people in the Dalles. They like nothing would have happened.
Yeah, that just yeah.
It would have
Ah,
just been a thing that probably stuck around for 10, 15 years and then fizzled out because it's a movement.
right. Yeah.
You know, it would have been something else entirely. But no, no. No, no. Gotta hate the non-Christian people. What they
Right.
say.
Yeah.
All right. But yes, there you have it. The crazy story of the Rajneesh,
That's nuts. Wow.
which brings us to this week's sweary affirmation.
Sweary affirmation. I'm excited. What is it?
Today may be one of those I need duct tape and a shovel kind of days, but tomorrow will kick ass.
Yes.
Feels
I
very
feel that.
Sheila.
It does.
Duct tape and a shovel. Uh,
That does have some Sheila energy.
I'm not into that cuz like other than her turn into really shitty bad illegal things, I kind of was like respected her and her taking as a woman in the 80s,
Right.
you know, being basically the main person that people were talking to and creating and managing all of that chaos. So like until it went bad, I was
Right.
like, yeah.
Because he obviously wasn't doing
Nah, he
anything.
was doing jack shit. He was sitting in his, you know, house with his fancy watches and counting his jewels and being a fucking dick.
I know. Look at all my
Look at
Rolls
all of my
Royces.
things.
Man. Look at all my cars.
Ah. Mm-hmm. Which means that it is now time
Mm.
for tarot time with April. A spooky spooky. Here we are with my Zen cat here. I promise he's not doing any dynamic meditation. There's no heavy breathing. It's all nice and normal.
No hyperventilating.
All right. I will let you tell me when to stop. And while I'll do this, I will say I'm pretty sure Johnny Carson, right?
The
Apparently
nighttime TV
after,
guy? Is that who you're talking about?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was him. I may be wrong. So After they finally got rid of the Bhagwan and he moved back to India and dropped his name and became Osho because he just didn't feel like he could be Bhagwan anymore. I don't know. Lots of
Okay.
name changes. But like
Right.
led his entire studio audience in this weird song that where essentially they sang about bagging the Bhagwan and it just felt so gross.
What?
I'm like, there is so much like violent rhetoric coming out of
Wow.
the, quote unquote Christian population of the early 80s,
Right.
mind you. I'm like, holy
Stop.
heck.
Oh my
Yeesh.
gosh.
Right? It's gross.
That does sound gross.
All right. Fuck.
What? This is the Pope?
It's the Pope.
Damn.
God damn it. I thought I figured this out. Okay. The Pope,
Okay, cool.
the Knight of Swords,
Knight of Swords.
and the Eight of Pentacles.
Okay.
Okay, so apparently I still have not learned whatever the fuck it is that I need to learn. I need to just like
Or maybe
get
it's
another
me. I
class.
don't know.
Claire, get your learning on.
Maybe
I
it's
can't
me. I
do
don't
this
know.
anymore. It's
I don't know.
exhausting.
Maybe
I'm
it's me. I don't know.
exhausted. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's
It's
me. That's
exhausting.
exhausting.
I'm verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves.
Let's see. The Knight of S words.
Yep.
Antsy and on the go, always in his head, always moving and challenging himself and others. Cool.
Okay.
I'm here
Cool.
for that. Let's see. I swear it's the tarot equivalent of "come at me, bro." Okay, I
Nice.
love that. I'm gonna learn some stuff, and it's gonna be like, "Come at me, bro."
Right.
All right. Um, but there is much intellect here, but not so much forethought. He will ride his horse until he smacks right into a wall. You really do want this dude on your side, though. So, I kind of like that. I'm here for that. Hmm. Come at me, bro.
Sounds like he's got energy. I need
I
energy.
need that energy. I mean, maybe I'll have some forethought with my energy, but I do need some energy.
Right. Me too.
Because I am tired. Okay.
Yerp.
The Eight of Pentacles. The Eight of Pentacles comes up a lot in readings for people who have found a new job, or started college, or a training program. Pope, are you coming at me in a different card?
Sounds like it.
I love it when it comes up for artists or those in a healing profession. It's about finally finding your path and working your tail off to succeed at it. Cool. This card is about
us, though?
being discerning about your own work and not giving up until you get it right. Okay, Pope.
Talking about us in this podcast is what it's talking about.
Yeah. I hear ya. It's fine. Okay. Popety Pope. I see you there. It's fine. Well, we will not be spinning our Wheel of Fate this week because our next week's episode will be part 2 of Culty Cultness, in which Claire will tell us a fun culty story.
Yes.
So we will leave it here for now. And you can find us in all the things and at all the places at
Brunch and Judge.
And please follow, like, comment, subscribe, share, all the things. We want all those things.
Yes.
And you can send us story ideas or any topics for our wheel to us at
brunchandjudge@gmail.com.
So until next time, keep on brunching
and keep on judging.
Bye.
Bye.